Most folks grow tomatoes and get a great leafy jungle by August, with hardly any fruit to show for it. It isn't your soil, and it isn't luck. It's what you left on the plant. A few careful cuts, and that same plant pours everything it has into ripening fruit instead of growing more leaves. I'm Helen Green. Most folks call me Grandma Dot, and I've pruned tomatoes here for 30 summers. If you want more from less, take a moment and subscribe. That's what I share here. 5 things most people miss when pruning tomatoes. Number 1 is so simple you'll wonder why nobody told you. So let's get into it. Before I lay a hand on a plant, I want you to understand what it is we're doing, because if you understand the why of it, the cuts will come easy, and you'll never again stand out there in the row with the shears in your hand, wondering. A tomato plant is not trying to feed you. Hear me plain, for this is the whole of it. That plant has no notion of your supper table, no thought for your jars on the cellar shelf, no care whether you ever slice a red one thick and lay it on bread with salt. A tomato plant is trying to make seed, nothing more. Every leaf it throws, every green arm it puts out into the air, is a tool it made to gather sunlight, and every bit of sunlight it gathers is spent on the one errand it was born for: set the seed, ripen the seed, drop the seed, and be done. And here is the trouble. The plant has more ambition than it has means. It will take every drop of water your ground can give, every crumb of feeding, every hour of that long July sun, and it will spend that wealth however it pleases, and left alone in a warm, wet summer, it pleases to spend it on leaves. Leaves are cheap, leaves are easy, leaves are the plant showing off. So it grows, and it sprawls, and it climbs over the cage and hangs down the other side, and it puts up a green wall taller than a man, and you stand there in August looking at the finest, greenest, most vigorous tomato plant on your whole road, and you go in for supper with 2 ripe ones in your hand. My mother called that a bragging plant. All show and no supper. She'd say, a bragging plant is a plant nobody ever told what to do. That is what pruning is. Pruning is not cutting, pruning is telling. It is you, standing in the row with your thumb and your finger, saying to that plant, not there, here, not leaves, fruit, not next month, now. You are taking the plant's own strength, its water, its feeding, its sunlight, all of it already paid for and already in the stalk, and you are moving it. That's all. You aren't adding a thing. You are only spending it better. My grandmother had a phrase for it, and I never heard it anywhere else, so I'll hand it to you the way she handed it to me. She said, you don't feed a tomato with a bucket, you feed it with a knife. Which sounds a hard thing to say, until you've done it 30 summers and watched it come true, year on year, in the same beds, behind the same house. So that is the whole of what we're about. Every one of these 5 is a way of telling the plant where to spend. And I'll be straight with you before we begin, because there's an honest word owed here and most folks skip it. There are 2 sorts of tomato in this world, and if you don't know which sort you have, you can prune it wrong with the best intentions in your heart. There is the bush kind determinate, the packets call it, and it grows to a set size, sets all its fruit near enough at once, ripens, and is finished. That kind you leave mostly alone. Cutting it hard is cutting away the very fruit it meant to give you, and no amount of good intention will bring it back. Then there is the vining kind indeterminate, and that one does not know how to quit. It will climb till frost takes it. That is the plant that wants your hand on it. That is the plant this whole video is for. So go look at your packet, or your tag, or your seed catalogue. 1 minute of looking, and everything I tell you today will land where it ought to. Just a quick word before we go on. The old garden methods I was raised on, there is more of it than one video could ever fit. I wrote all of it down, the whole of it, in a book. The link is pinned in the comments below. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I won't bring it up again. Now, number one, and this is the simple one, the one you'll hear and say, well, why did nobody ever tell me that? Take the bottom off, that's it. The lowest 12 inches of that stem, from the dirt up to about the height of your hand span, And a little more, you want that bare. No leaves, no little shoot, bare stalk, clean air, daylight beneath the plant. Here is how you do it. Once your plant is up around 18 inches or 2 foot tall, and it has taken hold and is growing well, not the day you set it out, mind you, let it root and settle. First, you go along the bottom of that stem and you take off every leaf and every branch from the ground up to about a foot. Take them with your fingers if they're young. A leaf that's ready snaps sideways clean with a push of the thumb and comes away with a sound like a pea pod opening. If it's woodier than that, use snips. Don't tear. A tear runs up the stalk and leaves a wound like a split fingernail, and that's a door you've opened. And here's the why, and once you know it, you'll never stop doing it. Near everything that goes wrong with a tomato plant comes up from the ground. It does not blow in on the wind, mostly. It does not walk over from your neighbor's row. It lives down in that soil, the early blight, the septoria, the spot, and the speckle. And the yellowing, it sits there in the dirt, all winter, patient as a stone, and it waits for a rain. And when the rain comes, or when you go along with the watering can and let it splash, that soil jumps, it splashes up. A drop of dirty water goes 8-10 inches into the air and lands on the underside of the lowest leaf. And that's it. That's the whole beginning of it. 3 weeks later, you're watching yellow spots march up your plant from the bottom, and you're standing there wondering what you did. You gave the sickness a step to stand on. That's what you did. That lowest leaf, hanging there in the mud, was the step. Take it away, and the splash lands on nothing. It falls on bare stalk, and a bare stalk sheds it. You've put a foot of clean daylight between the dirt and your plant, and that little bit of air and daylight is worth more than any bottle you'll buy for it. It clears the air, it clears the water, it clears the sickness, and it costs not 1 penny and 90 seconds of your morning. Now, an honest caveat, for I'll not have you go out and strip a plant naked. Don't take more than the lowest foot, and don't take it while the plant is still small and struggling. A plant that young needs its leaves to feed itself. Wait till it's got some height and some vigor, then clear the bottom and keep it clear all season, because it will try to grow back down there, and you'll want to go along every week or so with your thumb and remind it. Do only this one thing and nothing else, and you will lose fewer plants to blight than you ever have. Number 2, and this is the one that costs folks the most fruit, because it's the one everybody's heard half of. Everybody knows about suckers. Somebody told you once, pinch the suckers, get rid of the suckers, and so you go out there with a righteous heart and you pinch every single one you can find. And you think you're doing right? Let me first say plain what a sucker is, so we're standing on the same ground. Look at your plant. There's the main stem, going up. There's a leaf branch, going out. And right down in the crook where the two meet that little armpit, that V, you'll find a shoot coming up. That's the sucker. It's not a leaf, it's not a flower, it's a whole new plant. It will grow its own stem, and its own leaves, and its own flowers, and its own suckers, and given the summer, it will get as big as the mother stalk and grow suckers of its own, and those will do the same. And by August, you have that jungle we spoke of. So yes, most of them come off. Take them small, the size of your little fingernail is perfect. 2 inches at the most with finger and thumb, a little push sideways, and they pop off like a pea from a pod. Almost no wound at all. Wait till it's the size of a pencil, and you're not pinching anymore. You're doing surgery, and you're throwing away 3 weeks of the plant's own strength on a thing you're carrying to the compost heap. But here is the part most folks miss. Here is the one that costs you. There is one sucker you leave. Find the first flower cluster on that plant, the very first one, the lowest one, the little yellow star flowers. That will be your first tomatoes. Now look directly beneath it. The sucker growing in the crook just under that first flower cluster is not like the others. That one is strong. That one is nearly always the strongest sucker the plant will ever make, and it will grow into a second main stem, near as thick and near as fruitful as the first. And most folks pinch it off without a thought. because they were told to pinch suckers, and nobody ever told them that one was different. Leave it. Let it run. Let it grow up alongside the mother stem. Tie it to your stake or your cage, same as the other, and you have doubled your fruiting wood on one root system, one hole in the ground, one drink of water, one feeding, and twice the arms to hang fruit on. That's the two-stem method, and my grandmother grew that way her whole life, and never once called it a method. She just called it leaving the good one. Now, an honest word. 2 stems is right for most folks. Some grow 1 stem only, that's for tight spaces and the biggest fruit. Some let 3 run, and that's fine in a long, hot season on rich ground. But if your summer is short, or your soil is thin, or the plants are crowded close, hold to 1 stem or 2. A plant can only ripen what it can feed. Ask it for 4 stems on poor ground, and you'll get 4 stems of green marbles that never turn. And every sucker but that one off with it. Every week, walk the row with your thumb. Number 3, and this one has nothing to do with what you cut. It's when every cut you make is a wound. I want you to sit with that a moment, because it's the thing folks forget the instant the shears are in their hand. That plant is a living body, and where you take a leaf off, you have opened a hole in its skin. It closes. It seals itself. It scabs over just like your own hand does, and it does it well and quick, but it wants a little while to do it, and it wants that while to be dry. So you prune in the morning, not at dusk, not in the wet, early morning, after the dew has lifted off, on a day that means to stay dry. That plant is stiff with water in the morning, and its stems snap clean instead of tearing. You make your cuts, and then the sun climbs and the air moves through the row, and by noon every one of those little wounds has dried and closed and sealed over hard, and nothing got in. Now do that same job at dusk. You make your cuts, the light goes, the air cools, and the dew comes down and settles into every open wound you left, and that plant sits there all night long, cut and soaked in the damp and the dark. And the damp and the dark is what every blight and every rot on God's earth has been waiting for. You gave it a wound, and you gave it a wet night. That's an invitation. And never hear me plain on this, never prune in the rain, and never prune a wet plant. Not the morning after a hard rain, when the leaves are still holding water. Not with the mist still on it. Wet leaves carry sickness on their skin, and your hands go from that plant to the next plant down the row. And now you are the wind. You are the thing that carried it. I have seen a woman with a good heart and a sharp pair of snips walk 12 plants down a row on a wet morning and take every one of them out by August and never know it was her. So, dry day, dry plant, morning hands. And while we're speaking of your hands, keep your snips clean. Wipe the blades with rubbing alcohol between plants, or at the least between a sick-looking one and a healthy one. 15 seconds. And if you've been handling tobacco, wash your hands before you touch a tomato at all, for they are cousins and they share their troubles. Dry, clean, and early. It costs nothing. It is only knowing. Number 4, and this is the one that separates the folks who get fruit from the folks who get green. Come midsummer, when your plant is over your head and heavy with green fruit, you'll be tempted to keep pinching everything in sight, because pinching has been working and you've got the taste for it. Here, you can do real harm, so listen close. This is the fine work. A green tomato does not ripen by itself. It ripens on sugar, and the sugar is made in the leaves, and it is made by the sun. That is the whole trade of it. Sunlight goes into a leaf, the leaf makes sugar, and the sugar goes into the fruit hanging nearest to it. That's why the tomato tastes of anything at all. Take the leaves away, and you have not helped the fruit ripen. You have taken away the very kitchen where its sweetness was being cooked. So do not strip a fruiting plant bare. Folks do it. They see the leaves shading the fruit, and they think, well, the fruit needs sun to turn red, and it does not. It never did. Fruit turns red on warmth and time, not on sunlight. Strip the leaves off to let the sun in, and what you get is scald a great pale leathery patch burnt right into the shoulder of your best tomato, and it will never ripen and never keep and never do a thing but rot in that spot. The sun ripens the leaf. The leaf ripens the fruit. Keep that straight and you'll never go wrong. Now here is what you actually do, and it is a smaller, kinder cut than most folks imagine. Go to a cluster of fruit that has set and swelled good round green tomatoes, done growing, waiting to turn. Look at the leaves below that cluster, between it and the ground. Those leaves are old. They have been shaded all summer by everything above them. They are already going pale, going yellow at the edges, and they are no longer paying their way. A leaf in the shade eats more than it makes. Take the leaves beneath a ripening cluster. The leaves above that cluster, the young, dark, out in the sun leaves, those stay. Every one of them. Those are the ones feeding the fruit. Those are the kitchen. Take from below the fruit, never from above it. That is the whole rule, and I don't believe one gardener in 20 knows it. What you'll get for it is air. That's the gift of it. Air moving straight through the middle of the plant, so the morning damp dries by 9, instead of sitting in there till noon. So the sickness never gets its wet, dark hour. Air and the plant's strength turned off old shade leaves and onto the fruit that's hanging there waiting. The caveat is only this: go slow. Never take more than a third of the leaves off a plant in one day. Take a few, wait a week, look again. A plant that's been half stripped in an afternoon will sulk, and it will stop setting, and it may not come back to you for a month, and you haven't got a month. And number 5, the last one, and the one that takes the most nerve, because it feels wrong in the hand, and it is the one that turns a green plant into a red one. You have to top it. Along about 4 or 5 weeks before your first hard frost, you know your own country. And if you don't, ask any old-timer on your road, and he'll tell you to the week you go out with your snips and cut the growing tip clean off the top of that plant. The very top, the leader, the part that's still reaching up. And I know what that costs you. I know it looks like murder. That plant is still throwing leaves, still opening flowers up top, still full of every promise it made you. And you are going to cut its head off. You are, and here's why. And it's the plainest arithmetic in the whole garden. Every flower that plant opens in September is a lie. That's a hard word, but it is the true one. A tomato needs 6 to 8 weeks from the day the flower opens to the day it comes ripe in your hand. So count it out on your fingers. A flower opening 5 weeks before the frost has not got the time. It cannot ripen. It will never be anything. But that plant does not know it, and it will pour water and feeding and every hour of that shortening autumn sun into a green marble that the cold is going to kill on the vine, while the good full-grown fruit hanging lower down, the fruit you have watered and waited on and hoped over all summer long, sits there green, still waiting its turn, still waiting for the strength that's being spent above it on a promise that cannot be kept. So you cut the top out, and every bit of strength that was headed up there has nowhere to go but down into the fruit that's already set, already grown, already yours. And that plant will turn. I have watched it. You cut the top out of a tomato plant in the first week of September, and inside of 10 days, the whole thing starts to blush. While you're at it, take off any flower cluster still opening up top, and take off the little runt fruits that are plainly too small and too late. Everyone is a mouth. Close the mouths and feed the fruit you can still bring home. It hurts to do it. It works every time. So there it is. 5 things, and not one of them costs a penny. And I'll tell you the part that sits crossways with me, and then I'll let you go. You can walk into any garden store in this country in April, and they will sell you a whole shelf of things for your tomatoes. The sprays and the dusts and the tonics and the fungicides and the blossom set in the little bottle and the fine bags of feed, and every one of them promising you the fruit that you are already growing. And I've bought a few of them myself in my time, and I'll not pretend otherwise. But my grandmother had none of that, not one bottle. She had a strong thumb and a sharp knife, and about 10 minutes a week, and a head full of knowing that her mother gave her, and she fed a family off that ground, and canned enough besides to see them through the winter. She hadn't better tomatoes than we have. She had better knowing, and that knowing wasn't taken from us. Nobody stole it. It got crowded out, is all. It got quiet. The bottles got loud. One generation didn't hand it to the next, and now folks stand in their own gardens in August, looking at a green jungle, and thinking they must have done something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. Nobody ever told you. So there it is. Clear the bottom foot and give the sickness nowhere to land. Pinch every sucker but the one under that first flower cluster, and let that one run for a second stem. Cut only on a dry morning with clean blades, so every wound seals by noon. Take the tired leaves from beneath your fruit and never the good ones above it, and top the whole plant a month out from frost, so it puts everything it has left into what's already hanging. That's the 5. That's 30 summers of it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me down in the comments what you're growing this year, the variety, the trouble you're having with it, whether you're a 1-stem gardener or a 2-stem gardener. And tell me what part of the country you're writing from. I do love to know where these plants are growing. I read every one. And next time, we'll talk of staking and tying how to hold up a plant so heavy with fruit it would break itself in a wind. My father did it with strips of an old bedsheet, and I have never found better. Till then, go easy on your plants and hard on the suckers.